fact, it's an opportunity to have all the armed forces, including vigilantes, the operations there, whether it's communication, whether it's logistics.
But Honorable Toby, he raises a very fine point that when we had a pandemic, a security threat in terms of health, that a task force was created, which included those people that you are talking about who are many, but then we went ahead to include the SGF, the this, the that, the that. So he's drawing a parallel. He's drawing a parallel with what he's saying.
We do not want to hamstrung Mr. President. The Mr. President can define the scope of work, set up the appropriate structure to deal with it. It is just asking him to, if it is synergy, he can coerce them to synergize. It is job to make sure that.
I like the fact that we're having a robust debate on this because it's a security matter. So everybody is interested in it. Yes.
Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, my boss, respected colleagues, my name again is Ahmed Idris. I represent Wasefere constituency. Mr. Speaker, respected colleagues, I still want to bring to the attention of the House that the task force set up to take care of the health. Ministry of Health is identified, but in terms of schedule, it's not in the Constitution. What you have as a function, Office of the Chief of Army Staff, Office of the Chief of Defense Staff, Office of the Inspector General of Police is defined in our Constitution. They have a specific role. And if you want to usurp those powers, it's simple. It comes through constitutional amendment. If it is about joint task forces to solve security problems in all the zones of the country, we have various operational setup that have been given out. Operation Hadar and Daji, Operation Crocodile, we have them all. And this is bringing the various institutions to do the work. There is no area, I would say, including the one I did mention. You have virtually all the services coming together to do this job. Your Excellency, my caution is that when we only want to take away issues that are donated under the Constitution, I would not allow, for instance, anybody. Remember, Mr. Speaker, colleagues, when the court made a statement regarding deletion of certain provisions, the first will say they can't take our functions. Why we're speaking that? Because the Constitution says you are the one to amend law. It's not the court to amend the law. So if it is there guaranteed, you cannot set up, you cannot ask. What we should do is to advise. And we should stop at that. When you say you want to give substitute, do this with this, is it in the Constitution? Does it allow that to happen? We are all concerned with the security situation. Nobody, and that's why I started by mentioning my constituency. I mentioned to my brother yesterday, one of the informants was arrested in my village. He refused to divulge information. He said he'd rather die. And to the point of death, he refused to mention their education. And you remember what Sarab of recent have taken the federal government. Here, and this human rights is impeding in certain areas. Yes, it's my right to have, and it's right of even agent to have mobile network, but we should register. And until we come back and do the right thing, we continue to hunt us. Thank you.
So I think it's clear now. The issue is, I'm sure everybody that has spoken has said that they agree with Honorable Salame and his passion and the need for something to be done about what's going on in Northwest Sokoto and everywhere. But I think what we're going to be voting on now is not but is the constitutionality of. That's what we're voting on, is the constitutionality. It appears it has boiled down to that. So we'll put a question. But then you have an amendment. Is there anybody seconding that amendment? Honorable Fine.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, Honorable Ifeanyi Chudimoma, I speak for the people of Ihiala Federal Constituency. I'm from Anambra State. I rise to second the amendment as moved by the Honorable Deputy Minority Leader. I so second. Thank you.
Those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Those in the so the motion remains, but with a new amendment, which hopefully by implication covers his prayer. By implication, it is not expressed but covers his prayer. Those in favor of the motion as amended, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. I mean, your motion did not completely die. It was just tweaked a little bit. I think the constitutionality of that matter, like the DS said, is actually very important. All right. So, Honorable Chisom.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, Chisom Promise DK is my name. I speak for Eleme Oyibo, Anti-Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Rivers State. Mr. Speaker, I come under Order 8-4, subsection 1, 2, 3. I move that Order 8, subsection Order 8-4, subsection 3 be relaxed to enable me move this motion.
Yeah, go ahead. What's the subject matter?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, unlawful arrest, arraignment, and detention of Honorable Dr. Farah Dagogo, member representing Boni Degema Federal Constituency of Rivers State, a governorship aspirant of the People's Democratic Party.
Chairman, Environment, do you want to second the motion? And please tell us what you are seconding. Huh? What does this mean? Oh, you did? Okay, you didn't hear the motion. Okay, who wants to second? Honorable Maki. He was listening carefully. Go ahead. So my understanding is that the motion is on the, you said, unlawful detention of a colleague, Farah Dagogo. Okay, do you want to second that? Go ahead.
My honorable colleagues, I'm Abubakar Maki Eleman, the Madaking Eleman Tijani. I'm from Jigawa State. I represent Malamadori Kaugama Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I raise to second the motion heavily moved by my honorable colleague. I so second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Those in support of the Honorable Doze, where are you going? Those in support of the motion, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Okay, what's your point about that?
I come under Order 9 of the rules of this House.
What page is that, please? Order 9, rule what?
Order 9, Rule 1, I think sub 5.
Order 9, rule 1?
Yes, sir, sub 5.
Sub 5.
Mr. Speaker, with your leave, I read. reference shall not be made to any matter on which a judicial decision is pending in such a way as might, in the Speaker's opinion, prejudice the interest of the parties thereto. Mr. Speaker, I am from Rivers State and a member of this Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I will want to draw our attention to the fact that this is a matter that is already in court in charge number PMC 721C 2022. Mr. Speaker, aside that, I would also want to draw attention of this House to the fact that we are all involved. And as a caucus, that is the Rivers Caucus in this House, we're already taking steps. What I expect is that if any member is vexed, he should ask for information concerning what is happening from either the caucus or from your colleagues. I don't know what we want to achieve if we take this route, whether we want to achieve peace or to have 5 minutes of fame. I will plead and urge this House that we step this matter down. One, it is not in tandem with our rules. Two, in the spirit of proper reconciliation, I think that the caucus will even have cause to reach the leadership of the House if we cannot manage the issue. So I will pray that we rely on our rules and step this matter down, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Chinda. Let me rule on Order 9, Rule 5, which you referenced. Now it says, reference shall not be made to any matter on which a judicial decision is pending in such a way as might, in the Speaker's opinion, prejudice the interest of parties therefore. Now, my interpretation of that is that reference can actually be made to a matter that is pending. That's actually what it says, that you can actually make reference to a matter that is pending. But it must not be made in such a way that will be prejudicial. So you can make reference to it, but you must make sure that it is not done in such a way that will be prejudicial. So it doesn't say matters that are pending shall not be raised. There's a difference. So on that one, you are ruled out of order. The issue of okay, but we need to find out whether he is right or not. Now, on the issue of the Rivers Caucus, you may have a point, but at the same time, we have to be careful that when matters affect anybody out there, a member, a non-member, we do not reduce it to a caucus thing. That's a very slippery slope, and we don't want to go down that road. I think I will agree with you that it's better we go through diplomatic channels or backdoor channels to try and resolve the matter rather than hit it up. So what I will implore, because I'm sure it's not just the Rivers Caucus that is interested in the facts of the case. I'm sure every member is interested in the facts of the case. But Honorable Chisholm, Honorable Chinda is correct. Can you please, when you go through your motion, do it with a level of decorum. Don't take any sides. Be measured in just whatever the facts are. If Honorable Chinda or any other person has contrary facts, they can bring it up. And then the leadership, I'll be more than happy together with the leadership to intervene in this matter if we can, because it pertains to more so because, not because, but more so because it pertains to one of us who we all sit here together in chambers. But please, rather than in trying to resolve a problem, let's not create another problem. Let's do it in such a way, as Honorable Chinda has rightly put, that will not cause more problems. And so just basically the facts as you know it and without taking any position. Thanks. Another point of order on this same matter? Go ahead. Is that Bandit? So who's that? Okay. Your mic is...
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. I also come under the same order 9, 5, sub 5, but with a different dimension. You had already asked the mover of the motion to go ahead, but I will implore that the title of the heading be changed before it can also be taken. We cannot decide whether it's unlawful or not at this point. So you have asked him to go on with decorum, but the title should also be changed before he can go on. I so submit.
Honorable Chisholm, just so that it does not, it's not prejudicial, just remove unlawful and just say detention. Remove the unlawful and just say detention.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
What do you mean by that? How can you ask me to do that? How can you say that? What do you mean? How can you guys do that? Why are you asking me to do that?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Arrest, arraignment, and detention of Honorable Dr. Farah Dagogo, member representing Bonny Degemba Federal Constituency of Rivers State, a governorship aspirant of the People's Democratic Party. The House notes that Section 14(1) of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as altered, states that the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall be a state based on the principles of democracy and social justice. Further notes that it is again enshrined in Section 17(1) of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that the state social order is founded on ideals of freedom, equality, and justice. And in furtherance of the social order, subsection 2A thereof provides that every citizen shall have equality of rights, obligations, and opportunities before the law. Aware that Chapter 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as altered, guarantees the fundamental human rights to every citizen of Nigeria and abhors oppression, repression, and guarantees the rights of the citizen to personal liberty, dignity, movement, and association. Informed that through a statement by the Special Assistant to the Governor of Rivers State, Kevin Ebiri, on Wednesday, 27th April 2022, which reads, the Governor, and I quote, the Governor has thereby directed the Rivers State Police Command to arrest Honorable Farah Dagogo for hiring cultists who stormed the PDP Secretariat in Port Harcourt and disrupted the screening of aspirants for various election positions. The police must, as a matter of urgency, arrest Farah Dagogo wherever he is and must be made to face prosecution. Unquote. Governor Nyesom Wike declared Honorable Dr. Farah Dagogo wanted for hiring cultists to attack the PDP Secretariat, the venue for the PDP National Assembly and State House of Assembly screening exercise in Port Harcourt. Worried that the allegation of disruption of PDP National Assembly and State House of Assembly screening exercise by alleged cultists rented by Honorable Dr. Farah Dagogo, upon which he was subsequently arrested on Thursday, 28 April 2022, was unfounded as the screening exercise commenced and was concluded that same day without any form of interference or disruption. Concerned that Honorable Dr. Farah Dagogo, who was not seen at the PDP Secretariat the previous day, not being an aspirant to any of the offices being screened there, was arrested at the People's Democratic Party, PDP, South-South Zonal Office in Port Harcourt, the venue for the screening of governorship aspirants of the PDP on Thursday, 28 April 2022. Deeply worried, Mr. Speaker, that no investigation was done to validate all allegations of crime before the arraignment of Honorable Dr. Farah Dagogo in a magistrate court on Friday, 29 April 2022. Mr. Speaker, I am disturbed that the arrest, arraignment before a magistrate court, and detention in police custody of Honorable Dr. Farah Dagogo was targeted at stopping him from fulfilling his governorship ambition by denying him access to screening on Thursday, 28 April 2022, and further participation in the World Congress and related activities of the party. The House resolved to, 1, condemn the arrest, arraignment, and detention of Honorable Dr. Farah Dagogo on the order of His Excellency, Barrister E.M. Wike, the Governor of Rivers State. 2, urge the Attorney General of the Federation to invoke his powers as provided for by Section 174 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as altered, to discontinue the case, particularly in compliance with the provisions of subsection 3 thereof, since no criminal act actually was committed by Honorable Dr. Farah Dagogo, and no investigation was ever conducted before the arraignment by the police and the Rivers State authorities. 3, again urge the Inspector General of Police to immediately release Honorable Dr. Farah Dagogo, held in his custody at the Criminal Investigation Department, Rivers State Command. 4, further urge the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to screen Honorable Dr. Farah Dagogo once he is released in order to enable him advance his ambition. And finally, Mr. Speaker, mandate an ad hoc committee to investigate the circumstances of the arrest, arraignment, and detention of Honorable Dr. Farah Dagogo, and all actions taken so far to intimidate and violate his inalienable human rights, and to report back to the House within 4 weeks. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, Honorable Eluelu.
Mr. Speaker, I hope you will take note that all these things that he has mentioned is to strengthen internal democracy.
Honorable Belu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Honorable Ndodi Godwin Elmelu, and I represent the good people of Anyocho Shimilifera constituency. I'm from Delta State. Mr. Speaker, I've listened carefully to the motion moved by my brother Chisom. One, yes, it borders on the fact that our colleague is involved. But secondly, it also borders on the issue pertaining to a political party. Thirdly, I'm aware that Chisom is a member of your party, APC. But that is not where I'm coming from. I want to plead and align myself to what...
No, but what I called for was a seconder, and you put your hand up.
No,
so let me get a seconder first.
Okay.
Let me get a seconder. Who? Any seconder? Fatu. I don't know why your mic is not coming up for two, but you can still go ahead. Okay. You can finish your thought. I was going to put the question, but say one or two things. You can finish your thought. I don't want us to belabor this point. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So, again, remaining the same name, Honorable Dudiko Ndelmelu. What I was saying was that Honorable Chinda Kingsley had already made a submission, a suggestion that we should throw the line of reconciliation way to resolve this matter. And if you had listened to the prayers of Honorable Chisom, that will not be in line with that particular submission that Honorable Kingsley had made. So I want to pray that all the prayers be deleted. And one thing should go is that the leadership of the House be mandated by the House through this resolution to go through a diplomatic way to resolve this matter. It has nothing to do with issue of police because the matter is already in court. So talking to IG is irrelevant. Secondly, asking the Attorney General to invoke his power. For me, when the matter is in judiciary, the leadership of the House can do something outside this place to resolve the matter. So I feel that that particular, all the three prayers should be deleted and urge the leadership of the House to resolve this matter.
Yeah. Well, that was my position at the beginning, and I still stand by that. If Honorable Chisom, if you can make copies of your motion and give to every member of the leadership, so that we can go through it, and we maybe if leaders can meet in my office, we'll see what we can do, knock heads together on how to resolve this matter. But let me ask you this, Honorable Chisom. Honorable Chisom. Honorable Chisom. Honorable Chisom. Honorable Chisom. Has Honorable Dagogo, has he been arraigned? Okay, on what charge? For sponsoring of cultists. Okay, is that I believe that's a bailable offense. No. Is he on bail?
Yes, he's not on bail. He's still in the detention.
Why hasn't he been granted bail? When is the bail application coming up?
Well, from the information I get from his lawyers, can you allow me to?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You see, listening to my colleague, Honorable Okechinda, he talked about, caucus.
Don't address Honorable Honorable Boma.
Yes, no, I'm not talking
Don't
about
address Honorable Boma.
I'm not addressing that. I'm addressing the chair. I'm addressing the chair. You see, Honorable Oke mentioned about caucus, trying to look for a way of resolving this issue. I'm not aware of any meeting or resolution, or approach. And this issue that is being mentioned here today is not about political parties, Mr. Speaker. It's about infringement of human rights. It can happen to anybody. It can happen to any member. So
Okay.
it's not about political party.
Okay,
It's
yes,
about a colleague from
that's all
Rivers
right.
State.
That's
So
all right. Yes, I don't want us to make this about political party at all. It's got nothing to do with that. But we cannot, Honorable Chisholm, we cannot determine guilt or not on this floor. That's for the court to do. We are not fully seized of the facts. But the facts that we are fully seized of is such that he has been arraigned, but he has not been granted bail. And that is all we should pursue. That is the course we should pursue, not whether he is guilty or not guilty. That is for the court to decide. But he is entitled, he has a fundamental right of bail. It's a bailable offense. And that's the cause. Through leadership, like that's been suggested, we should try and negotiate that. So I think instead of us belaboring this point, because the main objective of today was to go through this bill. So we'll just, while we're here today. So let's just move on. So your motion has been amended for leadership to look into it. Any seconder to the motion? Honorable Leke, please second the motion that the leadership should look into this matter. The amendment.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Your Excellency, Honorable colleagues. Honorable Leke is my name. I represent the good people of Yagbafera constituency. I'm from Kogi State. In order to move to the main objective of today, subject of today, I rise to second the amendment as moved by the leader. I so second.
Before the question, Deputy Speaker.
Respected colleagues, my name is Ahmed Idris. I represent was a federal council of Plateau State. Mr. Speaker, respected colleagues, I still want to appeal that when it comes to welfare of our members, we should not be like in our own motto, joint task force. We should be concerned and we should be there for one another. I watched yesterday or day before yesterday, Governor Wike's interview. In it, he was saying how he was framed up for murder, armed robbery, just for him to become a local government chairman. And eventually, through smooth court, he got to be chairman. In the same life with this fellow, that is our colleague. From the statement made by Odbichindesa, which brought virtually what Onobuchizo brought before the flows down, was trying to flatten it down. I would wish to ask him to report to us here the effort done by the Rivers Caucus regarding sorting out this matter. Not to say leadership go and sort out the matter. Whether we like it or not, it has political dimension, because if the guy was seeking to be governor, now they have spinning out through whatever means. He's now juggling between his life to save his own destiny and maybe create a good name for himself. I don't think all people must go through the same procedure for them to be leaders. I beg that even if we are going to allow leadership to be, the chairman of Rivers Caucus should be in this, we should be with us. For good reasons, sir. For good reasons. He should be with us. So that we do not, after today, because I believe we will not be back again, possibly until after primaries. And these persons must have been injured to the extent it cannot be repaired. And will come back in regret. That's my question, sir. Thank you.
All right, yes. You have an amendment? Okay. I think definitely, and that's the hallmark of leadership, we need to intervene as leaders. We must intervene. I don't know position of the fact that Chisholm brought a motion, and Uchino talked about Rivers Caucus. tells a story that there may be some differences. So having either Chisholm present or another side present during meetings, I don't know what we'll achieve, because it looks like people have taken positions. So we have to achieve this objectively as leaders who have taken no position. I know Governor Wike personally. I know him to be a good man. And I would like to find out exactly, objectively, what is going on. What we should be talking about now, like I said, is how to bail our colleague, since he has already been arraigned. And how to move forward. And the sentiments expressed by the Deputy Speaker is one of us. Is Dagogo today? It may be Chinda tomorrow. I know it will never be Boma. It may be Chinda tomorrow. But we need to, whichever way, we need to be seen to be proactively trying to assist Honorable Dagogo. Rivers, Kokos, the DS asked a very pertinent question. What exactly have you done in this matter? No, let him tell the whole House.
Mr. Speaker, why I've been wanting to speak on this matter, ordinarily, I felt that it was not supposed to be a public issue. But from the stories, from the motion, you can see that the facts are skewed, and it is necessary to put the proper facts before everybody. My brother, my colleague who took this motion, has given us hearsay. He was not at the scene. He did not witness any of the incidents. Mr. Speaker, about 8 members here were at the scene of this incident on the day of the screening for National Assembly members. Mr. Speaker, perhaps today, this House would have risen in 1 minute silence to mourn the death of 2 or 3 members of this House as a result of that incident, but for the intervention of God on that day. These are not issues that I would want to start putting before the public, and that was why I cautioned that this matter should be allowed to be resolved amicably. We were all at that scene, and there was arrangement to throw dynamite at the scene. Who knows who would have been injured? Who knows who would not have survived it on that day? 17 persons were arrested.
Honorable Chinda, you know, you are touching on very weighty subject. You know, you raised an objection.
Yes,
that
sir,
we cannot discuss. Wait a minute. Honorable Chinda, you raised an objection that we cannot discuss the matter in a way that will be prejudicial to the case.
Mr. Speaker,
what you are saying now may be prejudicial to the case, that dynamite and all of that. But your point has been made that he was not there. Others were there. So there is another side to the story, is what you are saying. And that point is very clear, that there is another side to the story. What we're looking for is back channel ways to whisk.
That was why I raised that point of order.
Your point has been well taken. Let's put the question, because we're going into other areas now.
Yes, sir, but Mr. Speaker,
you may be right, he may be right. I don't know. Even about the dynamite, I don't know if you are right or wrong. Nobody knows.
Yes, sir, but
those in favor of the matter that the matter be referred to leadership, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. We have to move straight to, it's already 1:30. The business of the day. Honourable members, the business of the day is presentation of 4 bills. I now invite clerk. It's supposed to be 5. Where's the chairman? Okay. So there are 4 bills and then 1 for consideration reports, making 5. Okay. I now invite the clerk to read their short titles.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, Terrorism Prohibition and Prevention Act, Repeal and Enactment Bill 2022, first reading. Money Laundering Prohibition Act, Repeal and Enactment Bill 2022, first reading. Witness Protection and Management Bill 2022, first reading. Public Interest Disclosure and Protection Bill 2022, first reading.
The first order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to repeal the Terrorism Prevention Act 2011 and Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013 and enact the Terrorism Prohibition and Prevention Bill 2022 to provide for an effective, unified and comprehensive legal, regulatory and institutional framework for the detection, prevention, prohibition, prosecution and punishment of acts of terrorism, terrorism financing, proliferation and financing of the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction in Nigeria, and for related matters standing in the name of the House Leader. Other members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Wednesday, 4th May 2022, and I invite the Leader to move that the bill will now read the second time. Leader.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My respected colleagues, Adodogwa remains my name. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I represent the people of Tudunwada, Dogwa Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I am from Kano State. My respected colleagues, I rise as directed by the Honorable Speaker to move that a bill for an act to repeal the Terrorism Prevention Act 2011 and Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013 and enact the Terrorism Prohibition and Prevention Bill 2022 to provide for an effective, unified, comprehensive legal, regulatory and institutional framework for the detection, prevention, prohibition and prosecution and punishment of acts of terrorism, terrorism financing, proliferation and financing of the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction in Nigeria, and for related matters, HB 1980 be read the second time. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I so move. And if the Speaker will allow me, by the leave of the House, and for us to save our legislative time, I will take the four bills concurrently, sir. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, the next bill is a bill for an act to repeal the Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2011 as amended and enact the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Bill 2022 to provide comprehensive legal and institutional framework for the prevention and prohibition of money laundering in Nigeria, establish the Special Control Unit under Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, and for related matters, HB 1981 be read the second time. Mr. Speaker, the next bill is a bill for an act to provide framework for the support, management, and protection of witnesses who provide information, evidence, or any other assistance to law enforcement agencies during inquiries, investigations, or prosecutions, and for related matters, HB 1982 be read the second time. Mr. Speaker, the last is the bill for an act to repeal the Public Complaints Commission Act, Cap P37, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Public Complaints Commission Bill 2022 for establishment of the Public Complaints Commission with wide powers to inquire into complaints by members of the public concerning the administrative actions of any public authority and companies or their officials, and provide legal framework for making public interest and for related matters, HB 193 be read the second time. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I move for all these four bills concurrently to be taken for the second time. I so move. Thank you.
Honorable Kiruka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. I am Kiruka Onyejocha. I represent the good people of Isukwatu Munochi Federal Constituency. I am from Abia State, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. I rise to second this motion that this bill be read the second time, as with the spirit of having passed one of the two bills in 8th Assembly, and went to Senate for concurrence, that witness protection, and they did not concur, and we brought it back here, and right now it's in the committee of the whole, and of course on February 2021, the money laundering bill was first read on the floor, which I am sponsoring, and then the executive had come with this version. And on that note, in solidarity with progress of this country, I move and second that this bill be read the second time. I so second.
Honorable members, the leader of the House having moved that the four bills be read a second time and seconded by the Deputy Whip, Honorable Kiruka, for time. Let me just put the questions on the four bills. Those in support that the bills be read a second time, please say aye. Just against the same name. Ayes have it. The clerk, you're invited to read the long titles of the four bills.
Right, Honorable Speaker, honorable members. A bill for an act to repeal the Terrorism Prevention Act 2011 and Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013 and enact the Terrorism Prohibition and Prevention Bill 2022. Provide for an effective, unified, and comprehensive legal, regulatory, and institutional framework for the detection, prevention, prohibition, prosecution, and punishment of acts of terrorism, terrorism financing, proliferation, and financing of the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction in Nigeria and for related matters. Second reason. A bill for an act to repeal the Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2011 as amended and enact the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Bill 2022 to provide comprehensive legal and institutional framework for the prevention or prohibition of money laundering in Nigeria, establish the Special Control Unit under the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and for related matters. Second reading. A bill for an act to provide framework for the support, management, and protection of witnesses who provide information, evidence, or any other assistance to law enforcement agencies during inquiries, investigations, and prosecution, and for related matters. Second reading. A bill for an act to repeal the Public Complaints Commission Act, Cap P37, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and enact the Public Complaints Commission Bill 2022 for establishment of the Public Complaints Commission with wide powers to inquire into complaints by members of the public concerning the administrative actions of any public authority and companies or their officials and provide legal framework and for making public interest and for related matters. Second reading.
All right, bill is referred to, the four bills are referred to the committee of the whole. First, or the fifth order of the day is the consideration of a bill for an act to repeal the Terrorism Prevention Act 2011 and Terrorism Prevention Act 2013 and enact the Terrorism Prohibition and Prevention Bill 2022 to provide for an effective, unified, and comprehensive legal, regulatory, and institutional framework for the detection, prevention, prohibition, prosecution, and punishment of acts of terrorism, terrorism financing, proliferation and financing of the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction in Nigeria, and for related matters. Honorable members will recall that the bill was committed to the Committee of the Whole on Wednesday, 4th of May, 2022. Leader will move for its consideration. And Leader, you can take the others as well.
Please clear. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My good respected colleagues, including the members of the minority. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that the four bills are, as read by the Speaker and carried by the House, Mr. Speaker, I therefore move that they should concurrently be considered. Thank you.
Very quick shortcut. Well done. Who's going to second? Honorable Mongonu? Honorable Mongonu, this before you go to the Senate, please second those four.
Honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Marche Monguno, Nganze Federal Constituency of Borno State. I second the motion that the House do consider the four bills as mentioned in the order paper and moved by the leader of the House.
Thank you. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable colleagues, for those of us who were not here, we had an executive session this morning, and pertinent matters that are personal to us and collective were discussed. So please discuss with some of the members that were at the executive session this morning and act accordingly. Those who may need to get in touch with my office, please do so. House Leader, please move that the House resolve to the Committee of the Whole to consider the bills. Oh, we have one more? Which one? Hold on, House Leader. Number 9. Okay. Apparently there's the ninth order of the day. I don't think that was covered by the leader. The ninth order of the day is consideration of a report of the Committee on Financial Crimes on a bill for an act to make comprehensive provisions for seizure, confiscation, forfeiture, and management of properties reasonably suspected to have been derived from unlawful activities and for related matters. Honorable members, recall that the report was laid on Thursday, 7th April 2022. Honorable Abdullahi Ibrahim Dutse will move for the consideration. Honorable Abdullahi, yeah. Your mic. You didn't press it. You have to press.
Financial crime on a bill for an act to make comprehensive provisions for seizure, confiscation, forfeiture, and management of properties reasonably suspected to have been derived from unlawful activities and for related matters, and approve the recommendation therein. I so submit, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, can I lay the report? Okay.
Let me get a seconder first. Honorable Uju, please second. Honorable Lado, how are you? Lado Suleja, how are you? Good. It's good to see you. What are you discussing with the chairman of Prohibition? Go ahead, Uju.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, My name is Honorable West Federal Constituency. I hereby second the motion as ably moved by my friend and colleague. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Please lay your report. Actually, the report has been laid. It's for consideration. Nothing
Please.
in late twice.
Chief Whip.
Late.
Chief Whip, let's have some orderliness. please.
Late. Okay, House Leader, please move that the House resolve the Committee of the Whole to consider the reports.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My very respected colleagues, I remain Alhassan Ado Dogwa, Mr. Speaker, representing the good people of Tudunwada Dogwa Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I am, by the leave of this House, the leader of the 9th House of Representatives. May I move, as directed by the Speaker, that this Honorable House do resolve to Committee of the Whole to consider report. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I so move. Chief Whip, Chief, please call this House to order, please. Why are people just making too much noise? I'm calling you to do your work.
Oh, Chairman Financial Crimes, take your seat. Deputy Minority Leader, take your seat.
Yes. You have
Benila, take your seat.
Honorable Musau, can you second? I'm hearing some funny stories. Is it true? Huh? Honorable Musau,
It's not
is it
sir.
true what I'm hearing?
It's funny, just funny.
You know what I'm saying, eh?
Leave it at that.
It's not true, right? Tell me it's not true. Honorable Musau.
The mic is okay.
Tell me it's
Mr.
not
Speaker,
true. Tell me
my
it's not
respected
true.
honorable colleagues,
Tell me it's not true.
I rise to second.
Honorable Musau. Tell me it is not true.
I rise to second.
Thank you.
Honorable Musau.
Yes, sir. My name is Honorable Ibrahim Makama Misau, representing Mr. Odaba Federal.
What party do you belong to?
I'm from Bauchi State.
What party?
Party of my constituent.
All right. Seconded by Honorable Musau. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Results to the Committee of the Whole.
Na gajiya. Ya dauna.
How are you, sir?
I wanted to confirm it's not the former I hope no one for Lagos.
We dey try make wahala no dey.
This is my. Order, please. Order, please. The house is in session. Order, please.
Respected colleagues, the first plea to consider is for an act to repeal the Terrorism Prevention Act 2021 and Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013 and enact the Terrorism Prohibition and Prevention Bill 2022 to provide for an effective, unified, comprehensive legal, regulatory, and institutional framework for the detection, prevention, prohibition, prosecution, and punishment of acts of terrorism, financing, proliferation, and financing of the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction in Nigeria and for other matters. I give the leader to give the synopsis of the bill.
Leader, come and give synopsis of the.
Colleagues.
Okay, let me give the synopsis.
Thank you.
Honorable Chairman, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Marte Monguno Ganzai Federal Constituency of Borno State. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, this bill, which is titled A Bill for an Act to Repeal the Terrorism Prevention and Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act and enact the Terrorism Prohibition and Prevention Bill to provide for effective, unified and comprehensive legal, regulatory and institutional framework for the detection, prevention, prohibition, prosecution and Mr. Bill, what this bill seeks to do is essentially to bring the anti-terrorism bill that is currently in force in Nigeria in tandem with international best practice, because as we all know, terrorism is now a global menace, and all countries across the globe are enacting anti-terrorism laws with a view to tackling the menace of terrorism headlong, and various laws were enacted across various jurisdictions with a view to tackling this menace in our society. So what this bill seeks to do is to bring the Nigeria Anti-Terrorism Bill in tandem with international best practice, and also to bring it at par with what is obtainable in other jurisdictions. Thank you.
Thank you. Clause 1 to 10. 11 to 20. 23. 25, 35. 5 to 45. 5 to 55. 55 to 65. 66 to 75, 6 to 86. 86 to 96. 96 to 99. Colleagues, the next bill, the second bill to consider is for an act to repeal the Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2011 as amended and enact the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Bill to provide comprehensive legal and institutional framework for the prevention and prohibition of money laundering in Nigeria, establish a social control unit under the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and for related matters, and now invite the leader. I think the same thing. Yes, sir.
Honorable.
Huh? Okay, the schedule.
Mr. Chairman, honorable members, I remain Mohammed Tahir Monguno. I represent Martia Monguno, Ganzai Federal Constituency of Borno State. This bill is an executive bill that seeks to amend the Money Laundering Prohibition Act. Again, what this bill essentially seeks to achieve is to bring the anti-money laundering laws in Nigeria to be in tandem with international best practice as it is obtainable in other jurisdictions. And there is a need to fight the problem of money laundering headlong because it's one of the instruments that enhances terrorism and illicit financial flows across jurisdictions. And in order to bring the Anti-Money Laundering Act in tandem with international best practice and what is obtainable in other jurisdictions, there is a need for us to have a special control unit in the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission that will be charged with the responsibility of money laundering issues. So this is essentially what this bill seeks to achieve, and I invite my colleagues to
thank you very much.
Consideration of this bill.
Clause 1 to 10, 10 to 11 to 21, 21 to 31. Schedules. Respectfully, the third bill to consider is for an act to provide the framework for the support, management, and protection of witnesses who provide information, evidence, or any other assistance to law enforcement agencies during inquiries, investigation, or prosecution, and for legal matters. I now invite the leader to give the synopsis.
Honorable Chairman, honorable members, I remain Mohammed Tahir Monguno. I represent Martin Monguno, Gaza Federal Constituency of Borno State. Mr. Chairman, honorable members, it is a well-known fact that protection of witnesses is sine qua non to the success of any anti-corruption fight in any jurisdiction. So what this bill seeks to achieve is to give legal teeth and framework for the protection and management of witnesses that give vital information for the fight against corruption and financial crimes, so that government will succeed in that drive. And that is essentially what this bill seeks to achieve.
Thank you, Chief Whip of the House, and I also want to appreciate Kruka, who has been part of this bill to ensure that it gets passed. It has been lying in the Senate. Today we are back on it again in the House through the executive. So, colleagues, those in favor that clauses 1, to 10 be part of the BCI. 11 to 21, 31, 32 to 43, to 53, 54 to 63, long title. I want to beg of you, Toby, I have asked, these are all part of these bills. There's none that is private owned. And you must take our name out of the shackle of intention. We have to allow this to pass. I want to beg. Please. Thank you. Schedule. Thank you. The fourth bill to consider is for an act to establish and repeal the Public Complaints Commission RCAP P 37 Laws of Administration of Nigeria 2004 and enact the Public Complaints Commission Bill for the establishment of the Public Complaints Commission with wide powers to inquire into complaints by members of public concerning administrative and actions by the public authority and companies and for their officials, and provide legal framework for making public interest and foreign matters. I now invite the leader to give this message. We need that one.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, honorable members, this bill seeks to repeal the Public Complaints Commission Act. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, members, it is a well-known fact that the public laws establishing the Public Complaints Commission has become archaic, and therefore there is a need to repeal those laws to bring it in tandem with the objective and subjective realities of what is obtainable now. And this bill seeks to, by doing that, make the Public Complaints Commission that ordinarily looks like a toothless bulldog that can bark but cannot bite, to give it the legal framework and the teeth to not only bark but bite in the implementation of its statutory duties, and to bring it in tandem with objective and subjective realities.
They are all part of those bills being sought internationally for us to redeem our image. Thank you. 1 to 10, 11 to 21, 12 to 31, 21 to 41, to 57, the next bill to consider is that of a bill for an act to make comprehensive provision for seizure, confiscation, forfeiture, and management of properties reasonably suspected to have been driven from unlawful activities and for related matters. Clauses 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 5 to 36, 6 to 58 to 69, 70 to 83. Leader, move that the House to revert the plan to report progress.
Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, I am Abubakar Samfulata. I represent the Brunei Agriculture Assembly Federal Consortium. Mr. Chairman, I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Chairman, I move that the House do revert back to plenary to report progress. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Onguno?
Honorable Chairman, honorable members.
I thought you are very comfortable with the head boy besides you.
Mr. Chairman, honorable members, I second the motion that the House do report to plenary to report progress.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. To report progress. Respected colleagues, the House and the Committee of the Whole considered the report on a bill for an act to repeal the Terrorism Prevention Act 2011 and Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013 and enact the Terrorism Prohibition and Prevention Bill 2022 to provide for an effective, unified, and comprehensive regulatory and institutional framework for the detection, prevention, prohibition, prosecution, and punishment of acts of terrorism, financing, proliferation and financing of proliferation of weapons of mass destruction in Nigeria and for related matters, and approved clauses 1 to 99, the schedules, the long titles, and the explanatory memoranda of the report. Respected colleagues, the House and the Committee of the Whole considered the report on the bill for an act to repeal the Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2011 as amended and enact the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Bill 2022 to provide comprehensive legal and institutional framework for the prevention, prohibition, and money laundering in Nigeria, establish special control units under the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, and for related matters, approved clauses 131, the long title, and the explanatory memoranda of the report. The House and the Committee of the Whole considered the report on a bill for an act to provide framework for support, management, and protection of witnesses who provide information, evidence, or any other assistance to law enforcement agencies during inquiries, investigations, or prosecution, and for related matters, approved clauses 1 to 63, and the scheduled long title and the explanatory memoranda of the bill. The House and the Committee of the Whole considered the report for an act to repeal the Public Complaint Commission Act, Cap P37 Laws of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Public Complaint Commission Bill 2022 for the establishment of Public Complaint Commission with wide powers to inquire into complaints by members of the public concerning the administrative actions of any public authority and companies or their officials, and provide legal framework for making public interest and for related matters, approved clauses 157, the schedule, the long title, and the explanatory memoranda of the report. Lastly, the House and the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Finance, Financial Crimes on a bill for an act to make comprehensive provisions for seizure, confiscation, forfeiture, and management of properties reasonably suspected to have been derived from unlawful activities and related matters, approved clauses 1 to 83, the schedule, the long title, and the explanatory memoranda of the report. Move for the adoption of the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I am Abubakar Samfulata. I represent Borneo Krika Samaguri Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I move that the House do adopt the report of the Committee of the Whole as read out by Mr. Speaker. I so move.
Honorable Monguno.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I remain Mohammed Tahir Monguno. I represent Martia Monguno, Gaza Federal Constituency of Borno State. I second the motion that the House do adopt the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's have it. Move for the adjournment of the House to 24th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues.
When do you want it?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Abubakar Samfulata. I represent Borneo Krika Samaguri Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I move that the House do adjourn to 24th of May 2022. I so move. 24th of June, of May. 24th of May.
Amendment, I think we're on the first lane. So first, suspend our rules to enable us have the third reading of these bills. and then adopt the motion procedure of today. Thank you. So that our good work will come to fruition.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. I am Abubakar Samfulata. I represent Berniwa, Krikasama, Gudi Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I move that we do suspend our action rules to enable us to take third reading of all the bills so far considered today. I so move.
No, not the rules. Well, once you are suspended, it can be the whole of this. It can be that portion. Thank you. Yes,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Kiruka Onyejo. I represent the good people of Isukwatu Munoch Federal Constituency. I'm from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I rise to second the motion that this bill, that we suspend our rules to enable us to take the third reading of this bill. I so second.
Respected colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. The next order of the day is the third reading of the bill for an act to repeal the Terrorism Prevention Act 2011 and Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013 and enact the Terrorism Prohibition and Prevention Bill 2022 to provide for the effective, unified, and comprehensive legal, regulatory, and institutional framework for the detection, prevention, provision, and prosecution and punishment of acts of terrorism, financing, proliferation and financing of the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction in Nigeria and related matters, standing in the name of the House Leader. I now invite the House Leader to read that the bill is read the third time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues.
Maybe you can take the remaining concurrently.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Abubakar Samfulata. I represent Berniwa, Krikasama, Gudi Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I move that the following 5 bills be read the third time as follows. A bill for an act to repeal the Terrorism Prevention Act 2011 and Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013 and enact the Terrorism Prohibition and Prevention Bill 2020 to provide for an effective, unified, and comprehensive legal, regulatory, and institutional framework for the detection, prevention, prohibition, prosecution, and punishment of acts of terrorism, financing, proliferation, and financing of weapons of mass destruction in Nigeria and for related matters. House Bill 1980. Number 2, a bill for an act to repeal the Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2011 as amended and enact the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Bill 2022 to provide comprehensive legal and institutional framework for the prevention and prohibition of money laundering in Nigeria, establish the Special Control Unit under the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, and for related matters. House Bill 1981. Number 3, a bill for an act to provide 1981. A bill for an act to provide framework for support, management, and protection of witness who provide information, evidence, or any other assistance to law enforcement agencies during inquiries, investigations, or prosecution, and for related matters. House Bill 1982. Number 4, a bill for an act to repeal the Public Complaints Commission Act, Chapter P37, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Public Complaints Commission Bill 2022 for establishment of Public Complaints Commission with wide powers to inquire into complaints by members of the public concerning the administrative actions of any public authority and company or their officials, and provide legal framework for making public interest and for related matters. House Bill 1983. Finally, Mr. Speaker, that House read for the third time the bill the bill for an act to make comprehensive provision for seizure, confiscation, forfeiture, and management of properties reasonably suspected to have been derived from unlawful activities and for related matters. House Bill 1101. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Seconder. Yes, sir. Mazi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Benjamin Okezie Carlo. I represent the good people of Nigeria, starting from Bende Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Abia State. I rise to second the motion moved by the acting leader of the House. I so second.
Are you sure he's the acting leader of the House?
Today, Mr. Speaker, with your permission here, you have been referring to him as the leader, and I believe that
I pray.
As your lordship,
He will not hear you. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's it.
Right, Honorable Speaker, honorable members. A bill for an act to repeal the Terrorism Prevention Act 2011 and Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013 and enact the Terrorism Prohibition and Prevention Bill 2022 to provide for an effective, unified, and comprehensive legal, regulatory, and institutional framework for detection, prevention, prohibition, prosecution, and punishment of acts of terrorism, terrorism financing, proliferation, and financing of the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction in Nigeria and for related matters. Third reading. A bill for an act to repeal the Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2011 as amended and enact the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Bill 2022, provide comprehensive legal and institutional framework for the prevention and prohibition of money laundering in Nigeria, establish the Special Control Unit under the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and for related matters. Third reading. A bill for an act to provide framework for the support, management, and protection of witnesses who provide information, evidence, or any other assistance to law enforcement agencies during inquiries, investigations, or prosecution, and for related matters. Third reading. A bill for an act to repeal the Public Complaints Commission Act, Cap P37, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Public Complaints Commission Bill 2022 for establishment of the Public Complaints Commission with wide powers to inquire into complaints by members of the public concerning the administrative actions of any public authority and companies or their officials, and provide legal framework for making public interest and for related matters. Third reading. A bill for an act to make comprehensive provisions for seizure, confiscation, forfeiture, and management of properties reasonably suspected to have been derived from unlawful activities and for related matters. Third reading.
Bill read at third term and pass. Move for the suspension of our rule to enable us adopt the votes and proceeding of today too.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I am Abubakar Samfulata. I represent Berniwa Krika Samaguri for the Constitution, Mr. Speaker. I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I move that we do suspend our relevant rules to enable us adopt the votes and proceedings of today's sitting. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
The only Shetima in the House.
The authentic one. Mr. Speaker, sir, honorable colleagues, I am Lawan Shetima Ali, representing the good people of Bursari, Gaidam Municipal Constituency. I rise to second the motion heavily moved by the chairman, rules of business. I so second, sir.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's have it. Move for the adoption of the votes on proceeding of today, 4th May 2022. No, for suspension of the rules first.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I am Abubakar Samfulata. I represent Berniwa Krika Samaguri Federal Constituency, Mr. Speaker. I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I move that we adopt the votes and proceedings of today's sitting as so move.
Yes, sir. Press, I request, Mike. Behind you. Behind you. Baba Didi. Those in against any, that's have it. Move for the adjournment of the House, 24th May 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I am Abubakar Samfulata. I represent Berniwa, Krika Sama, Gudi Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I move that the House do adjourn to Tuesday, the 24th of May, 2022. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
I think we need to hear the voice of the minority.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the House do adjourn to 24th of May 2022. I so second. My name is Right Honorable Benjamin Bemzandu.
Colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's have it. Good note, we want to thank you sincerely for your good effort, time to come here and do this very good job in the interest of our own country. May God bless us all and help us in our continuous endeavor as we pursue the cause of good governance. Thank you very much. You are welcome, and I wish you all the best in the forthcoming primary election. I wish you success. Thank you very much. Thank you. Stand adjourned.